But what I asked you was...
Can everybody hear Vincent? He's trying to talk.
Oh, was he?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, can you hear him?
I'm sorry, Vincent. That was my bad.
No, I didn't hear him.
That was my bad. Yeah, no,
Truth can't hear you.
I wonder why Preet could hear me.
Oh, now I can hear him.
I hear you.
That's weird. All I wanted to ask
was my fault.
In the rape example, did God create the universe knowing that girl would be raped?
Yes.
In your view. So
Yes.
could he have designed another universe where she was not raped?
Yes.
So ultimately, was it his choice to make the universe where she was?
Was it
God's choice to make that universe?
Was it God's choice to make that universe that included a girl that would be raped?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a really good point.
Yeah, but the rape itself isn't his choice. You can differentiate the two. Easy.
I don't see why that's a problem. Let me answer that slower. Let me answer that slower and see if everyone can catch it. Did God create a universe knowing, right? I think that's a key word that we need to look at there, knowing that a girl was going to be raped? Yes. I don't see.
And he could have created a universe where otherwise could have happened, and that was the point.
That is absolutely right.
Yeah, he willed the universe.
Yeah,
where it
but the
happened.
assumption is that in
Let me
the other...
go.
No,
Yeah.
the assumption is that in the other one... First of all, the assumption is, why would God even create universe A if there's a possible universe B, C, D, E? Now, why pick A over B, C, D, E? Now, you would have to be really presumptuous to know that, why he would pick the alternatives.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
I missed the... Wait, can you ask that again?
Could he not create it exactly how he wanted from the beginning?
I'm confused about
that's
Preet.
a good point. I gotta admit.
Wait,
I mean, that...
Preet.
But it all... I'm sorry, what?
No. Can you ask that again? I was...
Okay, I'm saying that that's a very presumptuous question. The reason being is, if God has the option of creating universe A, B, C, D, E, he created A. Now, why didn't he create B, C, D, E? You would have to have a knowledge of those universes and what the potentialities were encompassed within them. You would also have to assume to know why God would create B over C or D or E. But that's what I'm saying. This question it kind of goes into an oblivion because you have to assume a lot of things.
The only thing we assume is that God is all-knowing, he's all-powerful, and that things work according to the counsel of his will.
Yeah, but I don't think you guys know exactly how that operates. This is what the point I'm trying to make. You can give definitives, like you can give definitions to what omniscience is, what omnipotence is, but how it works from God's vantage point. Unless you have a knowledge of how it works from the divine vantage point, you can't really make definitive statements. I'm sorry, you can't.
Only what's revealed in Scripture we can make, but...
But even within Scripture...
Hold on. What's revealed in nature? God has the universe and creation really fine-tuned, and if you start looking into these things, you see it. Why would you assume?
I don't doubt that, but you're getting into the realm of philosophy. If we're talking about alternate universes that he could have potentially created, now you're getting into the hypotheticals, and I'm saying that those hypotheticals make no sense. The reason being, even when it comes to scriptures, Klein, in scriptures, what we get are definitions. What I'm trying to say is how those are applicable in the sense of operative qualities of those attributes. I'm sorry, nobody has a clue. Nobody has a clue.
I'll go ahead then.
No, you go. I was.
Well, I think Vincent was going to jump in there.
Well, I'm just saying. Yeah, my point was the sovereignty of God in creating a universe how He willed. You're assuming that. We don't have to.
Yeah, but you're assuming you know the reasons why he willed it this way.
We don't have to know his reasons. We just know that his will be done.
Right. We're not concerned with that. That's the thing, because that's the.
But you are assuming that if you're going to make the statement that, oh, he created this universe knowing this girl would get raped, therefore this is what he had in mind. But that's where I'm saying you're getting into
That's
presuming too
I didn't.
much.
Well, I might have just not heard anybody, but I didn't hear anybody say that.
Well,
I
that
know.
was the paradigm that was being put forward.
Yeah, the conclusion that they
Well-
said, well, this must be, yeah.
Well, the thing with that is that then you fall into I know you guys aren't and don't identify as this, but just for the namesake, that's like the Arminian dilemma, because they go at Reformed theology and they say, well, you have an issue because God created this, this, and that, and He, it's all within His sovereign will. And then we ask the question that Vincent just asked, and it proves and it shows the Arminian or the opposing view that they're in the exact same dilemma that they're trying to put us in. So
not entirely. Well, I don't know how the Arminians would solve that. We're not, though.
Yeah, Preet, hold on. I just want to say real quick. Actually, we're not. What we keep on emphasizing is that God knows. Period. He just knows. He knows exactly what is going to happen. As a matter of fact, God knows what He's going to do too.
Well,
do you know how he knows, Cyril? Cyril, do you know how he knows? Because all things work according to the counsel of His will. That's what the Bible says. Let me ask you this. Hold on.
Wait a second. And not only that, but how He decides to do that is also another way that we differ. Now, I did have a question for you.
Well, I've got a question for you because my time's kind of limited, and then maybe you can ask me.
Well, you've been asking me a bunch of questions. So
What?
I want to ask you one.
I know. I was going to ask you a question, but go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
All right. This is my question. I wrote this out earlier today in reference to how y'all look at Joseph and his brothers and all that. Does God judge people for the intentions that He originates in them?
Well, I actually think the devil originates some of those intentions, because as I put that verse in the side about Colossians 1, He created and rescued us from the dominion of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of His beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all of creation. For by Him all things were created, both in heaven and earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, which there are authorities and rulers and dominions over us. Just like we rule over chicken farms and cattle farms and the animal world. I mean, there are so when you say create the intentions, I just see that there's a higher dominion over us. We're created lower than the angels, and for whatever reason in this time span, Satan has control of this world. The whole world lies under the control of the evil one.
So let me get this straight. Now, I know for a fact.
Well, hold on. I answered your question. You're answering another question. Let me ask you my question.
Yeah.
I don't think you answered it.
You guys agreed.
You didn't answer the question.
Yeah, I did answer.
No, you did not, bro.
No, you didn't.
I was really gonna pick that apart. He went all over the park.
It'd be not the answer you liked, but it was,
I thought it was.
No, it's not that you didn't answer according to how He wanted you to answer. It's that often the thing that's claimed about Joseph is, oh look, God intended for God is the one who caused Joseph to fall into slavery.
Right. Now, what I was going to say was, I thought it was interesting that, usually we get the blame for saying we're not exegeting the passage. And
but it says God intended it. God intended it for good. He intended it.
But my question is, you mentioned the devil. Where in the world is the devil in the passage? And God is the...
I used other passages to point that out, but it says that God intended it for good, right? So now, hold on. I've answered your question. You just didn't like it. Let me ask you a question.
No, so
I'm gonna go back.
the intentions of the brothers were implanted by God.
Well, we can go to Genesis 45 for that.
Yeah. So where did the brothers get their intentions?
Well, he said the devil. So I mean,
Oh, the devil's not mentioned in the passage.
Wait,
he said the devil.
Wait, I'm gonna start muting people because I need Truth to ask this question.
Yeah, and people are putting words in my mouth a little bit. That every time I go back,
You said
someone
the
say,
devil.
no, I did. Yeah, I mentioned that there are higher forces controlling, right, the flesh. That we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. But hold on, man, hold on. But we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places. Yes, there are hierarchies of control and dominions over things. Yet that passage says that they intended it for evil, yet God intended it, which means He meant it to happen. He intended it for good. I don't know how you can't see that, but I'd like to ask you my question now, if I could. You might not like, I might not like your answer either. So, can I ask it?
Yeah, Truth. Go ahead. I'd lower the volume. I don't mean to be a tyrant, but trying to be fair.
Yeah, so basically it was what I left you kind of in that reply to you, that if God is all-knowing and before He created the world and all of the people that would exist in it and knew all the people that would end up in hell, but created them anyways, right? The Arminian, that shows that God created them for destruction, and the Arminian has that same problem. They can't reconcile that, because if God didn't intend for it, He could have not created them, or He could have changed any determining factor in their life to help them be saved. It's almost like your view is suggesting God's trying to save people, but He can't save people.
That's not it at all. And so one thing, let's point out one thing. Now I don't have the comment in front of me. I wish I did, because I'd really be able to break this down real nice. But what I do remember saying is that is the difference between me and you. You came to the conclusion that was the reason why God created them.
No, it's not the only reason. It's not the only reason. But Romans 9 says, hold on, Romans 9 says, right, vessels created for destruction.
Well, but you have to break that down. What context is he using that out of?
Yeah, let's not go into that, because I've seen how you guys do.
Exactly.
You butcher that one. I can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know, and it's a complete butchering. It honestly is.
I don't know how if God's gonna bear.
And it would take an hour to have you guys go through to try to go through the details.
No, not me. I'm actually real. Not me. I'm actually real.
Well, maybe not an hour. I just wouldn't have the time.
I know. I got that. But me, it'd just be real simple. I mean, I don't even have to go to Jeremiah 18 like I would like to, which he's drawn from. I can just simply say, why in the world is God being patient and bearing with them if He's made them for that anyway? I ain't got to be I mean, what is God just seething and He can't wait to throw them in the pit? I mean, like, the text just don't make no sense. So, but anyway, I wanted to answer what you said. So, like I said, even in your comment, you specifically concluded that is the reason why God created them.
I didn't. That wasn't what you're trying to define that as. That's the specific reason. But my point is, if God knows all things, I think you're evading the implication of the point. Because the implication of the point is this: that if God knows all things, and before He created the world and everybody in it, knew who would end up in hell, whether you believe that God predestined it or they made the choice, but He created them anyways.
Yeah.
That God did create those people ultimately. That would be the end. Right.
See that right there. Now you smoothed it over a little bit more nicely. I like to address everything you just said. So I just won't harp on that one point, because I believe I've made enough of that anyway. So God makes people knowing where they would end up. I would not conclude that God made them simply to have them end up there. That is the reason why He made. No, I would not say that.
That's the same exact thing, though. That's the same.
No, I just disagreed with what he had just said. So I don't know how you could say that that's the same exact thing when I didn't even compare anything.
No. I just said the two premises that you just brought up were the same premise. That's what I meant.
Yeah, okay, I like to reiterate. That's all. So, I lost my train of thought. See, that's what happens. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, like, I don't believe that God created people just for hell, knowing where all of it went up. No, I believe God created people for other purposes. and I believe He created them for many purposes.
I do too, man. And that's the point that you keep trying to say that I say solely. I'm talking about a specific thing, though, and so when I'm bringing out a point, I'm not trying to define every individual purpose, which I couldn't know for every individual either, and what they're doing.
Right, but I would say that person was also created. From what I can understand, I do believe that all those people were created to love God, to know God, to come into a reality that God exists, to hear the gospel, to extend the gift of salvation to them.
I'd like to say something after Cyril's done.
Right, I believe that God created them to have a loving relationship with them and to save them, and I believe that God created them for many other purposes. Now, what I don't agree with is that God created them simply for hell, right? I mean, even when it says that Jesus said, "Listen, go to hell where all the angels I've prepared that place for them." Notice He didn't say.
Okay, is hell where they're ultimately going to end up?
I don't know.
And
you're talking about. You're talking about people who aren't.
Yeah, in the scenario that I gave, the people that God knows are ultimate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for people who aren't saved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People aren't saved.
Well, now you have an issue because you have an issue with what Preet said, and I know you guys are two different individuals. I'm not saying you guys think the same or anything like that, but Preet had just said a little while ago. She said that secondary causes are irrelevant because the primary is the necessity for the secondary cause. But
on your view.
Well, I mean, he just
no. On your view, the primary. No, because let me just say something here. From me and Cyril's position, that merely because God knows what's going to happen in advance, we don't make the connection that therefore causation is linked to Him. Do you see the difference?
I mean, that I don't think that doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to.
How does it not?
Because to say that God's going to make someone, and Cyril said He makes someone for everyone for the same purpose and gives everyone quote unquote the same chances. Not that he didn't say that. I mean that's a quote unquote because I'm using a phrase, but he creates them with the same chances, but He knows where they're ultimately going to go. So he's contradicting where He's going to send them if He knows in the future it's two different things. Yeah,
He's contradicting where He's going to send them. What?
No. Okay, let me just make a point here.
Sorry if I wasn't clear.
On the Calvinist perspective, on the Calvinist spectrum, what you guys are ultimately advocating for is divine predetermination. No, that's not what we hold to divine predetermination. And when it comes to specific redemption, yes, that's very clear, crystal clear in the scriptures, and that's something that's always been affirmed. Now, when it comes to individuals and God creating somebody specifically for the purpose of damnation, that's never been affirmed, and actually, I think it's blasphemy. From our perspective, if God creates human beings, and if that human being ultimately ends up in hell, he didn't end up in hell because God was the primary cause of why he ended up there. The person themselves is the cause of why they go to hell is because they were disobedient to the will of God.
Can I